definitely wish I'd done a bit more of is like mix it up like you. I think that what you've got going on is a pretty good idea because at some point you will probably land on which one of the three areas you prefer. I don't know if you've already worked that out yet or not.
Do you know what? I like all three. I mean, I prefer coaching tactical elements over technical. So to be honest, older age groups I do like because I also do want to progress into higher levels. But
Yeah.
it's a nice break sometimes when you know things are so serious. You can go to the under 10s and it's a more relaxed environment. Not saying that Mo reserves and under 18s isn't a relaxed environment, but
No, yeah.
you don't want you know with those you're pushing results and development, but your under 10s is a bit more relaxed, a bit more fun. So it's sometimes a nice little switch off a little bit.
But would you say like, but long term, are you looking to maybe more focus on the, like you said, maybe moving up the levels in terms of the leagues and kind of sticking more so with like having a career in the men's game?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I think with the men's game as well, you can have a little bit more banter with your players. You know, you can have a laugh and a joke beforehand. You know, if let's say you're at half time and you're telling someone they've done something wrong and you're coaching them on how to do it differently. You know, at the end of the game, you can sit and have a beer in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
When you're with men's teams.
Yeah.
So everything happens and then you can kind of forget about it. But with the kids teams, it's kind of it's not that important at the end of the day. Not saying the team is not important, but getting the results, it's not important for them. So it's a nice little switch off. But I do like the men's side a little bit more, to be honest.
Yeah, that's cool. No, you're right what you say. I know what you mean about the kids. Like it's a completely different environment. Like what you're trying to create for the kids is completely different to what you're kind of going for with the adults. And I think that like I was saying there's two types of coaches, right? Like you split it up quite well. There's like technical and tactical. And like I always thought where I was in America, and I don't know what it's like kind of in England, kind of where you're down at, but there was no one ever really seemed to like work out what coaches were best for like the younger technical kids and what ones were maybe more into the tactical side. It was kind of a lot of a mix. And I always felt that like, it would not be ran better, but it would be a lot better for the coaches probably and the kids and everyone involved if you worked out who should go where and the technical coaches go with those younger ones and the older ones go with the tactical ones. So I don't know what you found in terms of that where you've been in England.
I think do you know what? I think it's kind of the same. I mean, just going off topic again, at Ruddington, we're putting together at the club a sort of like club DNA and philosophy. Cool. The club wanted to do it for a while, but I took a step back when I was at training the other night because we've got teams around us, and there's some coaches that under 11s, under 12s, and they're going into things that you learn at under 15, under 16.
Right.
And I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, they're not going to understand that.
And
I mean, I honestly, I heard one coach a couple of weeks ago, and this must have been under 11, maybe under 10. I heard the word counter pressing mentioned.
All right, okay.
And I'm like, they're 8, 9 years old.
Yeah.
But why? So then that's when I came to the idea of the club, like, let's put this together. They are doing it out of a good place, but I think it's just giving coaches a bit more education on that side of it.
Yeah, no, I get what you're trying to say. Like there's like I think you hit the nail on the head, really, just the education side of it from the coaches and like understanding what certain age groups need what, right? And like you say, the younger ones at that age, you're probably spot on. You probably don't really need to be talking with them about that. That probably hits when you get to, like you said, like maybe 14 where you're playing 11 aside and it's a bit more of a tactical element to it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, mate. No, I agree with you. It's interesting. Do you find like it where you're at, and you said you kind of came up together to find like a club DNA? Like, do you find that there's a lot of big differences in opinions between what everyone thinks should happen?
Yeah, I think that's what makes football so great as well.
Absolutely.
And I've always said this about, with like when you work with mentors and things, like when you've got a coach mentor, especially with the English FA, I've found that sometimes they kind of want you to, they all do the same thing. They want you to coach in a certain way. And the way I look at it is, can you imagine how boring it'd be if every coach coached the same way? Yeah. Can you imagine a coach at under 9s coaching the same way that Pep Guardiola does or the same Mourinho does? If everyone coaches the same, it's boring. Everyone's got their own style. So that's what I think, putting this DNA together. Coaches are going to have their opinion, which is great because it's a club thing. You know, we want everybody's opinion on what we do moving forward. So I kind of, as much as some people might shy away from getting another opinion, I quite like it because it makes me challenge my own thinking of what
Absolutely. I think it's good. I think it's really good because, like you just said, it's completely an opinionated game. And what I might think about something, you might think different. And the best part about it is I'm not right or wrong, and neither are you. And it's just that you can pull from everyone's ideas. And I think that's good because I think sometimes with coaches we can be we could be a little bit egotistical, right? Or certainly some of us can be, where you're trying to create something. At the end of the day, everything you are doing, like I winning, I wouldn't put as a priority really ever for me as coaching. But when I get to the game on a Saturday, even with the U10s, ultimately deep down I do want to win. So
Exactly.
there's always that ego side to it, but it's good to be able to talk and share your opinions on it.
I think as well with that ego side, I think it's important that you try to suppress it as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's been times when I've been coaching with other under 10 coach, and with, let's say, I remember this one game quite distinct. We lost on penalties in a cup quarter final. The kids were distraught.
Yeah.
And we both looked at each other with like a minute to, I think it was about 10 minutes to go, and we looked at each other and thought, we could go out and put our strongest players out now and go win this game. But we thought, well, what's the point in that?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine dragging 3 kids off, putting another 3 on, winning by 2 goals? Can you imagine how the other kids would feel?
Yeah.
So, it's important to suppress that. And I think it was a bigger learning curve for them losing on penalties because they kind of not understood why, but they got to see that, they're a team.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's going to be players that are better than others, but they're a team. Everyone plays their part. And I think that's why I think it's important that when you do have those winning feelings, it's important to suppress them at that age.
Yeah. I agree. I do agree with you, and I'm not disagreeing with you with what I'm about to say. But there are also moments, I think, when you said that kind of came to mind for me, where depending on where you're at with the group of kids in the team, where it is okay maybe to do that in that moment because maybe that's what the team needs. But what you just said there, you and your other coach, obviously you felt like that in that moment for the team, the best lesson to learn was the decision that you went for, which was to not just sub on the better kids and try and win the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because it was one of them where, it's also the thing of you've got to keep parents on side, I think, as well. And, can you imagine that? It was a long drive out to the game. It was probably about 30, 40 minutes. And, can you imagine how a parent would have felt seeing their son being dragged off with 10 minutes to go purely because the coach didn't think he was good enough to stay on and win the game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that's the other thing you have to look at as well.
How do you find dealing with that on the parent side of things? I mean, I'm obviously my experiences will be different to yours, a little bit, I'm sure, because I was in a different culture. But how have you found that? I'd be intrigued to know, like just dealing with parents.
I'll be honest, my under 10s, even my under 18s, I'm so fortunate to have such a good set of parents. And honestly, like, I don't know if I share this and anything, any of them listen to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big thank you because they all help out so much. I mean, under 10s, they'll get there. We say meet for 9:30, parents there at 9 o'clock, helping set the goals up, helping set the pitch.
That's class, mate.
Under 18s, parents will be there. If we're organising anything for the lads at the end of the season, under 18s, parents always chipping in, always putting ideas forward, always supporting the team. They'll always, like with COVID guidance, never had a problem with it. Always adhered to it. And I'll say, I've never had that issue where I've had to deal with parents because the parents that of my teams are just superb.
That's good, man. I mean, that's good to hear that you've had really positive experiences. I mean, I think that when you're coaching at that level with kids and you have parents, it's really helpful when the parents do kind of just go along with the coach and they're almost there to help you, because the worst thing in the world is when you can tell that you've got a few parents that are not aligned with what you're trying to do. And again, like we said earlier, it's okay. Like, I'm not that their opinions are wrong, but it's maybe just a difference of opinion on how, like, I wanted to coach the team compared to other parents. And it was tough to find that balance. So that's really good that you have that. It's hugely important for youth coaches that parents just kind of get on board with you and support you.
It is, yeah. I mean, when I first came in at uni with the under 8, with doing the 10s with under 8s at the time, obviously come in, parents are all at training, I'm taking this training session. You do kind of have in the back of your mind, what parents thinking. You know, what do they think? And to be honest, I've never had to worry about that with them actually, because like I said, they're just brilliant, and you know, they've come in and welcomed me from the start in both teams, to be honest.
Yeah, mate. You say obviously that you want to progress up into the men's game, and I'm assuming maybe one day dream of being a coach of a pro team. Like imagine, like we're talking about, like sometimes you maybe think about what the parents think in your head. Like I always think this, like imagine what like Pep Guardiola thinks, or you know, Jurgen Klopp, or any pro manager, like with that many people watching you, compared to like we're just probably used to like 20 parents. Like the pressure of your mentality has got to be insane. And to be honest, they probably, not that they block the fans out, but you kind of almost have to in a way, right? Or else you're gonna hear so many different opinions from fans of teams that you'd never be able to work out what you wanted to do.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I've coached in the FA Youth Cup the season just gone. And, you know, my under-18s probably played, I'd say, in front of 100 people, at least, around that mark. And, you know, you hear people shouting things from the stands. And I honestly, you know, you're trying to bite your tongue. And I don't know how these managers do it with 40,000 people sometimes. Yeah. Like, there's just all about 100 people behind me. And you hear someone who, like, can't say anything. But, yeah, I don't know how people do it at times. Like, especially like pro managers when there's like 40, 50,000 people. It takes some skill.
Yeah, man, absolutely does. It does. And it's just, it always intrigued me that when I had maybe a situation with the parent or a few other coaches or whatever, and I'm like, I wonder what those guys must think when they're at that level. It must be absolutely insane.